Good morning, everyone. I'm 𝑰𝒏𝒕𝒆𝒅, Director of the Cavalier, the host for this podcast. Today, we are going to be discussing as to what problems or what questions come in the minds of the repeaters who go for the SSB and who've been there once, twice, or thrice, and what kind of things they need to settle down on, how do they resolve it. We've got with us Dr. 𝒍𝒕𝒅 here, who's been an IO for a very long time, and he's almost conducted about 35,000 interviews till now. Sir, the repeaters are in front of you. There are two boys here. One of them has been to SSB 3-4 times, the other one has been once, and they've been conferenced out. So they had some doubts which they were asking me. I thought I will put them across to you. You'll be able to give them in a better way.
Definitely, it's an honor. And I would just like to bring, first of all, one correction. It is not 35,000, it's about 26,725. You know, bosses are always generous and kind. They believe in 35,000. There's 26,725 interactions. And these interactions are with SSB, with engineer, with various kind of IS people and management school. I'll be very glad to take in your questions.
Yes, what's your name?
So I am 𝑪𝒏𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂. I have been to SSB 5 times, out of which I have been conferenced out 3 times, and 2 times I have been screened out.
So Harsh, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you face an interviewing officer and you have those doubts that, okay, how is it going to be dealing with? Yes.
So the first thing would be that since he is in the system, he would be answering to me rationally and giving me some pointers on which I can improve upon in my future.
Right. So what is it that you want to ask him?
So the first question that I would like to ask is, in my experience, the freshers and the repeaters batch is segregated into 2 different groups. So why is it done in the SSB?
A very valid question. A lot of people have this doubt. Why is there any difference between repeaters and the freshers? Essentially, it is to understand that where is the segregation takes place. Segregation takes place at 2 places. First in stage 1 and then only in the GTO group. Why the segregation takes place in stage 1 is for the very simple reason, because you are aware of the process, you have done it, and they want to bring in all the people who have had the similar experience on board at the same time. That is why we have the segregation in stage 1, and similarly in GTO, because you have a prior knowledge. So you have a kind of an edge over a fresher. That is why they segregate the 2 of you. But if you see in interview or in psych, there is no segregation. Though a lot of us start believing it to be. There is no segregation of any kind in interview and psych. But definitely yes, in stage 1 and the GTO group.
So can I probably add, sir, that it is more to safeguard the interest of the freshers than to have any kind of a bias against the repeaters?
In a way, yes, but number of times there is a mixed group also, because what happens if there are, suppose there are 12 repeaters and you have a group of 8, then the 8 will go with the repeater group and 4 will join the freshers. But by and large, it is to ensure that everybody has an equal edge. We try to maintain uniformity as much as possible. But in the end, generally they try to keep them separate in GTO. For the very fact that all the tests they are aware of. What is the procedure?
I think that clears your mind on this, and so
Yes,
you should not carry this burden with you.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Definitely not.
Okay.
But there is no bias. I would like to bring home what Major Chopra is trying to bring. There is no bias. The interviewing officer or the psych or the GTO never looks you at as a repeater. He always looks at you as a fresher coming for the first time. And he gives you advantage for that. So please be assured there is no bias against or for the freshers. But we try to bring everybody on a common pedestal.
Okay. Yes, you've also been to SSB once. Can I have your introduction and what question do you have in mind?
Hello sir, I am Rahul Jamatia. I have been to SSB once and I have been conference out in that attempt. Sir, I have a general question regarding the interview. Sir, as a repeater, generally the interviewing officer also asks that whether one person has done the coaching or not. So in that manner, sir, what should we expect from the interviewing officer? So whether he uh, modifies his questions or kind of changes his assessment in regarding to that candidate, sir.
A very valid and a very, very pertinent question. But we really need to understand the psyche of the interviewing officer also at this time. And we really need to understand interviewing officer also has his children generally of your age group. And his kids would also be going for either IIT coaching or NEET coaching or for some other thing. Today, by and large, coaching has become is a is a very acceptable thing. But the issue is, are you learning from the coaching or not? Majority of us try to memorize things, but smart people understand. So this is the very subtle differences that he is always trying to see. If you have been coached, are you learning from it? If you're learning, definitely, because he is fully aware you have paid money for it. You have taken decision. Why do you want to? You have taken a decision because you love this profession. That is why you put in your money, put in your effort. But if you do not learn from coaching, then definitely he's little upset about it.
But I feel, sir, a lot of them tend to tell lies there. Even
That
if
is-
they've done the coaching, they would say no.
That is
What do
the-
you have to say on that?
I would always say never ever tell a lie. But when you're responding to this question, answer should not be yes, only yes. But you should be able to give the reasons as to why have you taken coaching. And the reason could be probably you wanted to succeed at first go. Reason could be because you have met some candidates, you have read books, you have read Quora, you have interacted on the internet, you've done research where people recommend coaching. Probably you are aware that in schools and colleges, that internally, if you look at the cyber world that has come in, we are virtually not interacting in the virtual world, we are not interacting with people. You need to have an environment where you meet like-minded people, you start seeing that environment, and that is where coaching definitely helps you. And before coming to a coaching, you would have realized that you have done research as to which coaching institute to go, you would have checked on their credibility, and even you would have realized that you can't go for coaching by yourself. You have to pay money for it, and the money comes from whom? The parents. So they also become co-decision makers. Our ability to showcase all these things. First is your commitment that you want to succeed in first go. Show your research. Bring out why people told you to go for coaching. Understand the importance of coaching and bring out co-decision makers. He fully understands and he is fully cognizant of the fact that coaching is an accepted norm now. And if you really look at it during COVID, everybody was on online getting coached. He is fully cognizant. But the issue is, are you learning or not? This is what he is worried about.
Sir, he had one more question he was
Yes.
asking in the class, and that is if I say that I have been coached, what have I picked up from there? What have I actually gained after the coaching? Yes, you can pose this question to him.
Yes, sir. It was actually asked in my previous attempt that if I have done my coaching, what sort of things did I learn from my coaching? So, what is the best way to explain that question, sir?
See, one of the main things that you have to really see is that coaching gives you nothing but for giving an ability to organize your thoughts. Coaching is making you realize that it is all about you. When we talk of personality development or personality, that interview or SSB is only personality assessment, and whose personality is you? It is helping you introspect yourself, it is helping you understand yourself, it is bringing up your interpersonal skills. These are the major gains that you get from any coaching institute. That your interpersonal skills increase, you start interacting with people, you start interacting with seniors, juniors, your subordinates, your contemporaries. These are the major endeavors that you start gaining from. And at the same time, coaching makes it possible, because in school or college, whichever environment you are in a comfort zone, you have a already established hierarchy. But when you come down to this is a new competitive field. Everybody, you have to again struggle and make sure that you make out your own place. You make out your own niche in this whole organization. So you start working hard toward it. But there, that is where the coaching starts helping you to reassess yourself and at the same time unlearn a lot of things which are in school and colleges which are not been provided to you, which is very important for a competitive world. Like what we keep on saying of mindset. In school and colleges, the moment you get inside it, it is taken for granted. Out of 100, 99 will pass. Maybe first division, second division, third division, compartment 1, 2, they will pass eventually. But in competitive world, only the best shall pass. If 100 move in, 3 or 4 will pass. So we have to transcend this mindset, and this is where the coaching comes into being. From taking for granted to understanding that only the best will pass. And that is what I presume. If you can bring out all these aspects, then you will be able to establish the validity and efficacy of coaching in your life.
Harsh, you had some other question also.
Yes, sir. So my other question is also related to the interview. So as a repeater and as a fresher, we face with a specific question which is known as the CIQ as per my research.
Okay.
So in repeater's case, in my experience, it has been seen that sometimes we are generally given 3 CIQs. One deals with our education, one deals with our family, and one deals with ourselves. So in my experience, only the third CIQ is being asked to the repeaters. Can you tell me why is it so that we only the CIQ 3 is asked for repeaters, and for the freshers, or they have all the advantage to explain everything?
Okay, that's again a very good and a very pertinent question. And first of all, let me compliment you for using the word CIQ, because even I find in a lot of books they've been using CIQ. So essentially, what you have very rightly said, they ask CIQ 1, 2, 3. CIQ tells how do you interact with the dynamic world, which is on education, because things keep on changing every 1 year. Your friends change, your subjects change, your teachers change. So he wants to see how are you interacting and how are you performing. In CIQ2, which is because of family, he's seeing a static world. Since the time you're born, your mother, father, brother, sister, relatives remain by and large the same. He wants to see how do you interact. And when we say interact, he wants to see what are you learning, what are you imbibing from that environment. Whereas in CIQ3 is very unique. In CIQ3, he is just trying to see how you interacting with yourself. Actually, that is your personality. We realize that people tell us become a police officer, become an army officer, become a lawyer or politician or a businessman. People advise you to do these kind of things, but nobody tells you what hobbies to take. Hobby is your actually inner calling. It satisfies you internally. You put in time, you put in effort, you buy books, you buy music system, you buy guitar, whatever it may be. If your hobby is painting, you paint, you buy color paint, and you get nothing out of it but personal satisfaction. It is organizing yourself and recognizing yourself. That is why CIQ3 is extremely important. What he wants to see, how are you interacting with yourself? How do we interact with ourselves? Through hobbies, through interests, through books, through TV, through internet. So he's just trying to see when the world is not there, what do you do with yourself? And generally what happens, for the fresher he'll ask all the 3 CIQs. When you're going the second, third time also, he will generally not start with first, he will just change the order. He will start with CIQ 2, 1, 3. Basically, because majority of us have this, as I keep on saying, that when we come from school and colleges, we have this concept of rote memory. Rat ke jate hain. We have rattled everything, and moment the sequences change, we get destabilized.
Sir, again, as a corollary to this,
Go ahead.
Some repeaters tend to do this ratification.
Very right.
Right now, how do you fathom it कि ये genuine answer है कि रटा हुआ answer है? As an interviewing officer.
Very, 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 very good thing. Number of times interviewing officer may not put the full CIQ. Majority of the students who have rattled, who have done everything, without having asked them the question, they will give you the answer.
Or even if before the question is finished, the answer is ready.
For example, and the ones who are very stressed or who are very nervous, the moment you say, suppose you tell me of your education, He will tell everything about education, he'll tell everything of marks, he'll tell why has he taken subjects, he'll talk of this competitive exams, he'll talk of his teachers, friends, whereas he's not asked him anything. He simply asked, tell me of your education. Before the CIQ finishes, he starts up. That is where a very stressed out individual is seen. And this student is seen, he is the one who has come from a coaching institute and is not learned. He is so stressed, he has memorized everything. And the moment he hears education, he vomits on the table.
So Harsh, besides your CIQ question, you faced 3 SSB boards in which you not been recommended. From the first to the second to the third. Besides this, did you find any other difference in the approach of the interviewing officer as far as you're concerned?
Yes, sir. Considering the repeater batch, the interview point of view, the interview used to end quickly for the repeaters as it took around 40 to 45 minutes for the freshers. So, is that also a factor in recommending a repeater or not, or is it related to the CIQs or the answers given by the candidate?
It is everything is related to the to the answers given by the candidate. And by and large, the interviews are for 30 plus minus 10 minutes, from 20 minutes to 40 minutes. This is the time that he takes. The number of times the students are very sharp. He gets all the information that he needs in first 20 minutes. If he's got all his information, he's done with you and he's passed you. And if he's not got his information, then he works hard towards it. And there are a number of times, generally the interview goes more than 30 minutes on 2 occasions. One, when he is finding that you are a strong borderliner, he wants to push you, ki pass ho jao. And he wants to give you little more chance. And he starts playing with you and he starts giving you little easy questions so that he can figure out if he has got some ambiguity. And the second reason is, number of times the students are very strong. Then he wants to see how high can I take him. That is why he spends more time with the student. So either it's the borderliner, majority of the time, on average, we can take it as a thumb rule, either it's a borderline or a very strong case where he wants to say, can I give him from average, can I make him excellent or super excellent, or higher grades can I give it to him.
Can we conclude, sir, that the duration of the time spent by the interviewing officer, the candidate, actually has no relevance
Not
on the outcome of his result?
Absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely
So
correct.
don't misjudge कि उसको 20 मिनट हुआ मेरे 40 मिनट
No.
हुआ ये हुआ. So don't misjudge. Whatever he wants to find out, he's already found out.
Yes.
And it could be this way or that way.
Yes.
But the time factor has no bearing on your result. Keep
Definitely not.
Right.
Definitely not.
Okay, now you also had interviews twice,
Yes, sir.
right? So what difference did you find in the first and the
So
second?
actually, I had been only once.
Achha, once.
Yes, sir.
Right. So now that you've been interviewed here,
Yes, sir.
now did you find any difference between the two?
Yes, sir. Definitely. In the previous one, he sort of mixed the CIQs, and here actually I get to experience feedback about my answers, and I also get to know about that my mistakes that I was making during the interview, sir.
Right. Any other lurking question in your mind as a repeater?
So I have a question related to GTO.
No,
Sir?
specifically interviewing officer. Today we are dealing with
Yeah.
interviewing
Okay,
officer.
sir. Okay, sir. So I don't have any other questions, sir.
No doubts
No doubts, sir.
whatsoever.
All my doubts have been cleared, sir.
Okay. Right. Any other thing that you would like to ask her?
Yes, sir. I have one last question.
Yeah, well,
So, considering that the fact that all repeaters are aware of the CIQs and they have memorized them thoroughly and they deal with the situation properly, but still there are chances leading to their not recommendation from the SSB. So, is it in any way related to the interview, or is it something else?
to be very frank, that if you have memorized your answers, it may be that you have not memorized the correct answers. Memorizing answers is not important. Important is the quality of your answers. If you memorize correct answers, definitely you will do well. But by and large, it has been seen that number of times repeaters do not see the obvious, where it has happened so many times. For example, today, when I asked you, why do you want to join army? Your reasons were definitely not very convincing. Similarly, when I asked, what do you know about army? Your knowledge was not very forthcoming. Though you have been a repeater, you gave some answers, but those answers are not definitely in consonance with the things that I was seeking for. When I ask you, why do you want to join? I want to see your motivation and what are the advantages, what are the intangible gains that you're going to get when you join this forces. When we look at Virat Kohli, we say we want to become a cricketer. When we see Amitabh Bachchan, we want to become. Similarly, you would have seen some army officer, maybe your uncle, your aunt, or maybe 26 January, or maybe a movie, or some NCC person, or someone who's come, who's interact with you. When you see that person, then you see certain qualities in him. The way people interact with him, the way people honor him, respect him, his concept of courage, intelligence, his discipline, time management. He's physically strong, mentally tough. When you see all these qualities, then you also try to be like him. So these are the reasons as to why. And when you see him, you always find him satisfied. You understand job satisfaction. If you have studied a little about armed forces, you realize that we deal with a cutting edge technology. We are dealing with one of the most advanced technologies. These could be the reasons. You are always physically fit, mentally tough. When you bring out all these reasons, then he understands, yes, you understand what you are motivated, and you understand the intangible gains that you're going to get.
Sir, I have a corollary to this.
Go ahead, please.
He's been asking कि CIQ की तैयारी करे, आपने भी जवाब दिया, इसने भी पूछा. So somewhere that some people may get this doubt that with somebody who's as smart as a coach as you are can make anybody ratto everything, and he has the answer to every specific question that can be in the normal code asked. वो तो coaching करके वैसे निकल जाना चाहिए. What is this kind of? Still the people don't get through.
Sir, it is very easy to say कि ratto, but I would rather.
But if I am good at rattoing, then
I'll bring home one very simple thing. That I'll bring out a different color analogy to it. I am a good batsman, but if I find Brett Lee bowling to me, maybe I'll be shaking in my legs. So it all depends on the capability of the interviewing officer. And more than that, we understand interview is a very formal interaction. Unlike the written paper where we have at times an option to deal with things, in interviewing, just like what we discussed for the repeaters, he changes the sequence. He also manages things in a very different manner when he sees with his experience. He will not go the similar way that you have been exposed to, but he'll ask all these contents. Our ability to organize all those contents and put it in a manner which is conducive is very difficult unless and until we are cool, calm and composed. Interview, being a formal interaction, by and large induces lot of stress in one of the best candidates also. And when the stress comes, all that happens is our thought process gets fragmented. When our thought process gets fragmented, despite of rattoing it, we are not able to do things properly. Like Chopra sir had put a very good point. Like when we talked of initially during our conversation, how does he make out that this chap is trained, is coached? He misses certain part of the CIQ. For example, he is not asked, tell me how is your education financed, but this guy will tell him. When he asks about, because rattoed guys, when they are in turmoil, they do huge amount of mixing up of things. 90% of the students, when he asks about his pocket expenditure, tell me what is your pocket, do you get pocket money or not? How do you manage your expenses? 90% of the students will bring out education over here. They start mixing up things. That is where the stress plays a very, very important role. So please understand, as Chopra sir very rightly brings home, is important is not to memorize, importance is to understand.
सर मुझे कहीं ना फीलिंग आ रही है कौन बनेगा करोड़पति, सारे आंसर आते हैं तो 7 करोड़ रुपए ले जाओ. Then it is so easy.
Very right.
But is that what the interviewing officer is seeing? कि वो उसको सारे MCQs आते हैं कि नहीं आते हैं? I don't think so. That is what the crux of the whole thing is.
बिल्कुल आपने ठीक कहा. कई बार कितने हमने देखा है बच्चों को, जब वो आंसर देता है एंड ही सेज कि सर मैं अब श्योर नहीं हूँ, क्विट करता हूँ, आंसर देता हूँ, वो करेक्ट आंसर देता है और कई बार रॉन्ग आंसर भी देता है। अभी कल ही का अगर आपने देखा हो तो 25 लाख पे था, व्हेन शी दैट गर्ल सेड दैट बस आई डोंट नो सर आई विल विड्रॉ एंड ही सेड यू टेक अ पिक एंड शी गिव द राइट आंसर, बट ही तो एलिमेंट ऑफ डाउट है डिस्पाइट ऑल द नॉलेज always comes when the stress comes into it, and this is what happens in any formal interaction. तो इसलिए इम्पोर्टेंट ये, मगर उस लड़की ने जैसे किया था, जैसे सर ने KBC का एग्जाम्पल दिया, she took a wise step of stepping out. Smart people when they are in a corner, they step out of the thing. Smart people never get into any argument, they never get into any debate with the interviewing officer, they know when to withdraw.
So I think any other questions that you have?
So I have a very general question. So what should a repeater keep in his mind while going for the SSB? So in an overall sense.
Just remember to be cool, calm, composed. एक, और तैयारी कीजिएगा जो आपको पढ़ाया गया है. Understand what is he asking you. Please understand he asks you open-ended questions. If he is asking about your father, he is not interested in really in your father. But he is definitely interested in knowing the qualities of your father. Because जब आप अपने पिताजी की क्वालिटीज़ को समझते हैं तो आप उनको धारण करते हैं. तो स्मार्ट इंसान इन चीज़ों को देखने की कोशिश करता है कि क्या बताने का है. टेल मी ऑफ योर फादर. यू कैन जस्ट गिव वन ऑनलाइन आंसर, माई फादर इज मोहनलाल, माई फादर इज 46 years old. Or you can write an essay, my father was born on so and so date and he was married to my mother, and give a huge answer of 200 sentences. But smart people will talk about 8 to 16 sentences where they identify the father by name, age, education, employment, and tell the qualities. So please understand what is happening at any and every given time. When he is asking you what is your hobby, if your hobby is gardening, please tell what kind of garden do you have. Do you have herbs or do you have ornamental flowers? If you have ornamental flowers, how many pots are you having? Why do you garden? What kind of flowers do you like? Do you like succulents? Do you like seasonal flowers? Do you like colors? Bring out whole lot of these aspects, but 8 to 16 sentences. Thumb rule is everything 10 to 12 sentences. Don't tell my hobby is gardening. That is being talking like a small child. But do not write a nibandh also, an essay. So please understand, summary is the name of the game. When he is asking about internet, please understand your generation has experienced COVID. 2 years you were dependent on internet. Bring out all these things. The moment he sees this, he says, oh my God, this boy recalls what happened, and 2 years they were educated by internet. And today internet has proliferated everywhere. इन सब चीज़ों को बेटा देखिएगा, प्रश्न को समझिएगा, try to bring up the level of your answer.
I have a very simple answer for you. Tell yourself that I stand as good a chance as anybody, whether he is a repeater or a fresher. That's the first thing. Remove that baggage from your mind that I am a repeater. The interviewing officer doesn't have this baggage, you have that baggage. So firstly, remove that baggage. Clear?
Yes, sir.
I have as good a chance as
As
anybody else.
Yes, sir.
Be it a fresher or a repeater. Second, you're going as a repeater. Obviously, everybody would expect that you're better prepared now. That means your knowledge of defense forces, your knowledge on current affairs, which you probably would have bestowed in the first time, they would expect that from you. So prepare yourself on that lines. Otherwise, just don't carry any baggage that I'm a repeater, period. Thank you.
No, I think what Chopra sir has told is a very, very solid point. Do not carry the baggage. I think I must thank him for making this interview complete, interaction complete, by bringing two very valid points. Do not carry the baggage, and please do understand, little more is expected as far as current affairs, because you have already had this experience. I think, thank you very much, sir. You really bailed me out this time by this very, very important,
So I'm sure,
important
right?
observation.
And keep smiling. And
Yeah.
this time, we both want we expect that you will pass.
Both of you will pass.
We will, sir.
Both of you.
Okay.
Both of you.
Absolutely, sir.
God bless you.
God
Thank you,
bless
sir.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Thank you.
𝑪𝒐𝒂𝒄𝒉𝒊𝒏𝒈